one thing I have loved seeing from the Boston Celtics so far this season is right here, a dunk from Jaylen Brown. I've loved it, and I know you guys love it even more. So, I need you to like this video if you actually want to see Jaylen Brown in the 2024 NBA All-Star Dunk Contest. Today, we're putting some respect on Jaylen Brown's name. That rhymed, I didn't mean to, but I am your host of Celtics Today, Allie, Barefoot. And no, seriously, we are actually going to talk about how influential Jaylen Brown has been for the Boston Celtics this season, because I think it's time that Smitty owes him an apology. I owe him an apology. We may not have been on the, Jaylen Brown's playing the best basketball of his life this season train until we had to be. Because we can't deny it anymore. He's been popping off, and you got to give credit where credit's due. He's played 26 games so far for the Celtics, and he's averaging 22.7 points per game, nearly 5 boards per game, and he's shooting 47% from the field, which is great, 33% from the three-point line, which isn't so great, but we'll let it slide because he's been doing a lot of work inside the three-point line. And, of course, there are other people who see this. Of course, Mark did tweet this out and said Jaylen Brown is a 2-time All-Star and a household name. And he obviously is playing the best two-way basketball of his career right now, which Jaylen Brown did also agree. But he said another dazzling performance from him tonight, which was, of course, against the Kings. 28 points on 11 of 21 field goals, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, while not committing a turnover. That's the key right there, because you guys know JB fumbles with his left hand a lot, but he seems to have cleaned it up. And also, did you know during that Kings game, he actually scored his 9,000th career point? He now became the 466th NBA player to do so in history, and he just kept playing. He just kept rolling. He ended the night with 28 points, and I mean, he just is so selfless this season. He has sacrificed a lot to be able to help the Celtics win, and by a lot, I mean a lot of his shots, because he has the ability to take over. He has shown this time and time again. When he starts off hot, the C's start off hot, especially in that first quarter. He's been known to be a first quarter legend. This has been a thing throughout his career. I mean, Smitty, you've seen this as a lifelong Celtics fan. When Jaylen Brown comes in, that first quarter, he makes a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, Jaylen Brown is somebody who just seems to have a feel for that first quarter. When he enters the game, it seems like it comes so easy to him in the fourth quarter. And I will say I'd probably rather have that be in the fourth quarter rather than the first quarter. But listen, all 4 quarters, you gotta play them. They're 12 minutes, are they not? So Jaylen Brown is one of the best first quarter players in the NBA. He's top 10 in points per game. He's top 7 in field goal percentage. Like, I swear I don't see Jaylen Brown miss mid-range jumpers in the opening 12 minutes. It's unbelievable. And, this doesn't rank among the top of the NBA or anything, but 41% three ball in the first quarter is unbelievable. So he has that ability to be that microwave that kickstarts the Celtics off early, but then you get into these ruts with Jaylen Brown sometimes where he has that tunnel vision, and he takes his first quarter great performance and tries to stretch it out over 4 quarters, and it doesn't always work out. So for right now, I love the way that Jaylen Brown's playing in the first quarter, but if he can limit those moments later on in the game, then he's going to be great overall.
Like you said, I mean, first quarter and fourth quarter, obviously big difference here, but when he starts out hot, it seems to keep that trend the entire game. When he starts out slow, it seems to keep that trend the entire game. The more consistency is something I've been begging Jaylen Brown to do the entire season. I've gotten a little bit more out of the last 5 to 10 games, but still, I'm okay with players getting hot. I'm okay with them finding their rhythm later in the game, but with Jaylen Brown, it seems to be more than that. So if he could play the way that he plays in the first quarter all the time, then, you got an easy all-star caliber, another one on your team. And I know, Smitty, yet another take about his over-dribbling here.
Yeah, this was kind of mostly coming back to what I just said. Like, when Jaylen Brown gets hot early, that's awesome. But you have to realize that, you're not going to be scoring 50 every time you have a good first quarter. So with less over-dribbling, with less tunnel vision moments of, this is my moment, this is my, stretch of the next 5 minutes, he can be an elite, efficient, and knowing his role basketball player. And I think if that all happens over the course of the season, he's going to be paramount to the title run. You saw he was the best player on the Celtics in the 2022 NBA Finals, Right. And I think he can be easily the best player on certain nights, or the fourth best player on certain nights when things are going certain ways for Boston. That's just how much talent is on this roster, and Jaylen Brown is aware of how much talent there is as well.
He kind of started off, and like he said in an interview the past couple of weeks, he said, look, my role has changed on the Celtics this season because they picked up Drew, because they picked up KP. And we saw that kind of towards the beginning of the season where he would go and drop 27 a night, then 15 a night, then 28 a night, 13 a night. So I think he's now starting to hit that high of like, all right, I can make over 25 points per game a night. And he's starting to find out, and we see this a lot, Smitty, in the sense that like he's been driving to the basket more. I mean, he started the game against the Magic when he had 6 points off the bat early going to the basket. He's realizing he can be more efficient than just not a three-point shooter for the C's.
Yeah, I mean, Jaylen Brown is most effective when he's slashing to the rim. He's been that way his entire career. He came into the league without a jump shot. He only developed that over the next 2 to 3 seasons after he entered the NBA. And off ball, even with the ball in his hands, he is dangerous when he's going to the rim. So Jaylen Brown, he's playing fantastic basketball right now. And I'll issue a personal apology. You're playing awesome, JB, and I need you to keep that up because I really need Banner 18.
Well, thank God he actually did find his jump shot, because up next we're going to talk about whether or not JB is an all-star. Of course, he's been a 2-time all-star in his career, but can he get that third nod? We're going to break down why he should or why he should not after we tell you guys about PrizePicks. It is the most fun you are going to have on a daily fantasy sports app because it is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America right now, and here's how you can play. All you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. These are my picks for Sunday night football because why not? They're having a really cool Christmas and holiday special right now where if you see these little green and red guys next to my picks, well, those are goblins and demons. Of course, the green are goblin and the red are demons. The green ones are easier picks. These are PrizePicks saying, hey, why don't you try to win some money for the holidays? But if you see the red demons, well, those are a little bit harder picks, but the payout is a lot more. I tend to lead on the green goblin side, but those are just my picks. So I had Sam Howell having more than 199.5 passing yards, beats off against a really tough Jets defense. And then, of course, you got Puka Nacua having more than 89.5 receiving yards and Alvin Kamara having more than 39.5 rushing yards. These are my picks. I want to see yours. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And look, we've talked about this, what he did against the Kings. He had 28 points and he had 0 turnovers. Well, did you know Brown is also averaging his second lowest turnover percentage of his career right now at about 10.9? And the turnovers have been a struggle for the Celtics. So to have Jaylen Brown having that low percentage, it's just been great, especially with how much talent that they have on their team this year, Smitty. I mean, they've got 6 starters.
Yeah, they have 6 starters, and that's just kind of a drawback when it comes to accolades and career numbers, box scores, recognition among peers and NBA media. With so many players around the league, you got your Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders of the world putting up video game-like numbers, Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Voters are likely going to favor high box scores over winning basketball or a nice cut to the rack by Jaylen Brown. That doesn't show up when you look at the numbers. When you go on NBA.com and vote for All-Stars, you're not going to see backdoor cuts or potential assists like Jaylen Brown has had many of these past couple of weeks.
Right, because it was always the duo of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
And they had ample room to be able to put up those video game-like numbers in order to make All-Star teams. And we saw them in the All-Star game last year. They went at it. It was pretty cool that having that little one-on-one match up there in the third quarter. I mean, Tatum had 55 in the game. Brown had 35. Are we saying that he's not an All-Star level player? No, we're definitely not.
No.
But it's just a matter of today's NBA being so inflated with high numbers that you're going to get guys on really, really good teams like a Jaylen Brown, like a Derrick White, who are going to fall behind on All-Star voting.
And that's what's tough, but overall, we think he's an all-star caliber player. We've seen that time and time again. We may be biased because we watch him night after night being on the Celtics and being Celtics fans. But nonetheless, I do want to ask you guys if you think that Jaylen Brown is going to be an all-star this year. Go on ahead and type JB if you guys agree. And even if you don't, just spam JB if you want to show him some love because he has been playing really well about the last 10 games of this season. We hope that he does keep it up. Go on ahead and comment that down below where I talk about a nice little tweet from Jared Weiss saying, world-renowned journalist O'Shea Brissett. Have you ever heard of him? He asked Jaylen Brown at his presser after they beat the Kings, and he had 4 dunks in that game. So he said, who's going to be your next dunk victim? Of course, Jaylen Brown's like, why are you making me sound like Jeffrey Dahmer? Like, why does it have to be a victim? Why can't I just play ball? Well, unfortunately, the way that Jaylen Brown dunks, he does turn them into victims. He has put up plenty of NBA players on a poster. So, if Jaylen Brown's not going to be an all-star, well, can he at least compete in the NBA all-star dunk contest? Why not? Because he didn't technically say no to the dunk contest when somebody asked him, like, hey, you've been putting up these flashy dunks, JB. Is it for a reason? Well, here's his answer to that. He said, I haven't put any thought into it, to be honest. Maybe if the people want it, enough people ask for it, we'll get it. As of now, I'm not really thinking about it. I think you should think about it, Jaylen Brown. Not any more than winning, though, but I think you should at least consider it, I should say, because did you know that when the Celtics did play the Kings, of course, he did make 11 of his shots. Well, 4 of those were dunks. And look, dunks are great, dunks are flashy, but the other 4 were layups. Only 3 of those were from beyond the arc, which I think is really attesting to how he can be such a versatile shooter and scorer for the C's this season, Smitty.
Absolutely. I mean, Jaylen Brown, one of the best off-ball players on the wing in the NBA as well. I mean, you look at his backdoor cuts, he just has a good feel for the game, and he's making right reads nowadays. The fact that he's able to become a 3-level scorer is something that I didn't expect from Jaylen Brown when he was first drafted. I actually wasn't a fan of the Jaylen Brown pick because I didn't think he could stretch the floor. Oh, back in 2016, I was, I actually, quote for quote, I wanted Chris Dunn bad. There's a reason I'm not an NBA scout right now.
Okay.
Or at least when I was 15.
Fair.
But I said, oh my God, no, when I heard Jaylen Brown's name. So I've been eating my words for the past 7 years now, 8 years.
You should.
So I'll take it where it is due. The fact that he's a 3-level scorer at this point is unbelievable, and I am very excited to see where he takes it the rest of the season and beyond.
Well, since Smitty was 15 years old and he's now 22,
yeah.
I think that JB has done enough in his career to potentially persuade Smitty to be on the JB train. And, of course, he doesn't have a dunk contest on his accolade, but he is a 2-time NBA All-Star. He was All-NBA second team last year. And, of course, he was on that NBA All-Rookie team in 2017. It was the second team, so, of course, he's been defying Smitty's odds since the beginning of his career, and he has multiple apologies he does owe to this MVP caliber player. But like I said, he doesn't have a dunk contest on his accolades. So, I mean, he hasn't said no. I think it would be really cool. I mean, obviously a dunk contest is about showmanship, and it would be representing the Celtics. And look, we can talk about this all day long about how cool it'd be to see Jaylen Brown in a dunk contest. But in all honesty, dunks are cool, but that's not the focus here. The C's have bigger aspirations, and I think that's why Jaylen Brown is not thinking about this right now, and he shouldn't be. He's got a lot more on his plate, and honestly, they're focused on a title push. It'd be great to see him represent the Celtics, but I'd rather represent the Celtics by getting banner 18. And he understands his role here on the Celtics, which I love about him. It's a lot clearer now on this team that I don't need to score 30 points per game. That would be great. We'd all love it, but we've got a lot of guys that can put the ball in the cup, and they're doing really well right now. So making sure I make the right plays, the right reads, it helped me see the game a lot differently than before when I've been asked to score the ball. We do hope that Jaylen Brown continues to do what he does, and if he gets recognition for that, like an all-star nod or a dunk contest nod, then I'll be it. And if it does happen, we're going to report about it right here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. That's why you guys subscribe. Anything you need to know about Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics, you're going to find right here, your one-stop hub, Celtics Today by Chat Sports.